if you want to get some more processing power out of your Reaper, here's what you got to do. There's two things, actually three things you can do. Maybe two. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So first of all, we want to go. Oh, I was a little ahead of myself. Go to Options. Go to Preferences. Now, under here, go to where it says Audio Devices. We want to make sure under buffers. Now, this is just for mixing. For when you're recording, really, you should have it under ASIO to begin with. And your samples will be a lot lower. But you'll also probably not want to record with plugins on because you're going to go for the lowest buffer that you want. But when you're mixing and mastering, you can set the buffer a lot higher. I have mine set to 2048. Now what that does is when you hit play, there's a slight delay between the time you press play and the time your audio starts playing, but it allows you to run a lot more plugins at the same time. So mine's at 2048. You want to do these in, I think, fours. So, for example, the lowest you would go is 28, but you really don't want that. 64. Am I doing this math right? I don't fucking know. Wait, 32. No, it's 32. So 32 would be low. 64 is way too low. 128. So we're basically doubling it. So 64 to 128. And then I think 256 is next. 512, 1024, and then 2048. And then I think there's one after this, but I don't ever use it, so I don't have it memorized. But yeah, 2048, and I think you can go up to 5,000 something. So just double this. And if you really want a higher buffer. Now the other thing, Reaper supports something called hold on. Here it is. FX anticipative FX processing. Now you can't do this with all plugins. If you notice down at the bottom, I can't point at it, but I'll point at it when I use my screen capture editing software. It says at the bottom here, use spare CPU to render FX ahead of time. And then it says this may not work with some UAD plugins. So if you use UAD plugins, I would recommend not doing this. But if you don't use UAD, or you could try it, and if it's messed up, then don't do it. But what you want to do is make sure this is selected. I don't know if it's selected by default or not. If it's not, make sure it's checked. So check it. And then the default render ahead is 200 milliseconds. But you can change this. But just like the buffer, it will add more time from the time that you press space or whatever your play button is between the time you press play and the time the audio starts. And also for this render ahead, what this does, if you look at the bottom, it says that basically when you are changing your controls, that will be slower. So if you're adding EQ, you know, if you're boosting EQ and it's going slow, well, this is why. But it's allowing you to use more effects without having to bounce your tracks. And I don't really use the live effects. Like I said, I don't really use plugins while I'm recording. Now I'll actually put them on, mess with them, but then I'll disable them before I hit the record button. That's about it, guys. I thought I had another one, but it's pretty much just those two settings, the buffer and the anticipative FX processing, and then the render ahead option, which I changed to 300. I could put this, I don't know what the highest number is, but I would even go as far as putting it at 500, and then you just got to wait a half second. But 300 seems to be a pretty good amount. I don't really want to have to wait while I'm boosting plugins, but it is cool to have that option. 200 works okay, but mainly the buffer set under audio devices is really what makes the biggest difference, if you ask me. Where the heck did it go? Yeah, here it is. So right there, this makes the biggest difference. And then audio thread priority. I don't really know if this makes a difference or not. I do know that when I had it set to one of these, it crashed Reaper. But anyway, that's it, guys. This has been Adam for RealHomeRecording.com.